Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the first event of the ZaitWaza3tar Festival for Palestinian Arts and Culture, which we wanted to stream online, but which is now being filmed and aired 24 hours later due to the general strike in Palestine happening today. May 18th, 2021, in which we want to express our solidarity with, at the same time, out of respect for the victims of the current attacks on Gaza, which our exhibition, Eyes of Gaza, Eyun Gaza, focuses on. I would like to thank Stiftung Begegnung, Engagement Global and the German network of the Eyun Foundation for making this project possible through their financial support, and especially Stiftung Begegnung for their unfaltering encouragement throughout this difficult past year. I would also like to thank our partner organization in Gaza, the Qattan Foundation's Gaza Child Center, who facilitated the project in Gaza, namely ZaitWaza3tar and the freelance photographer and participants tutor Amjad Al Fayoumi and for being his counterpart and tutoring the participants online from Berlin, Germany. I would also like to thank Bashar Shamud for his academic advice on archives, as well as the theological faculty at the Humboldt University of Berlin and the Damen Institute at the University of Gaza. I would like to thank Nabi Bushnak for helping out with translations and writing formal letters, and to Luke Josting and Yara Amneiser for supporting this part of the festival with advice and work when needed, and Anne-Catherine Barter for the graphic design of our brochure. Most of all, I would like to thank Nahid Awad for tirelessly working on this project from the initial idea to implementing it all, never content with the average, but always aiming for perfection and the best possible we can do. Can the ZaitWaza3tar team please come to stage? Yara and Sharuk. So this is the core team that kept our events going from when we started in the late fall of last year. When we created the ZaitWaza3tar Festival, we wanted to add a dimension to the discourse in Germany that is missing. It is missing knowledge about Palestine and Palestinians, both historic and present. We wanted to show the beauty and the diversity of Palestinian culture in many aspects, from literature and film over music and dance to tadris, the needlepoint embroidery that is an ancient art and so skillfully carried out on the scarf I'm wearing tonight, and food like ZaitWaza3tar, the olive oil and special variety of thyme growing in Palestine, and after which this festival was named. In light of the current situation in Palestine and especially in Gaza, this intent may seem pointless and naive. When the violent attacks on Gaza began last week, we were thinking that we needed to react in some way, that just carrying through as planned was not possible. My first impulse was to write a more general statement about the situation, but Nayat said to me, they are not numbers, there is a story coming with every single person. Our partner in Gaza, the photographer Amjad Al Fayoumi, had his office and his studio destroyed by the bombs of a recent nightly attack. He is alive, but all he could save was a camera and a lens. The building where Amjad's office and studio were also housed offices of media and filmmakers, and the attack, while acquiescing civilian death, was on the image that supplies documents to furnish the counter-narratives to the one broadcasted by Israeli state sources and repeated by many Western media. And so, if I refer to Amjad's story, I need to refer to my own too, and what brought me, as a German, to hold this festival on Palestinian arts and culture, the ZaitWaza3tar Festival. I grew up in what was then West Germany, was taught history of Germany and the becoming of Israel in a way that made me believe the Jews that fled Europe came to an empty land, and as a teenager, I had romantic ideas about the socialist kind of living a life in a kibbutz. A little later, I was into languages and learning Russian, as well as taking Yiddish classes. I met a man from Palestine, the West Bank, and fell in love with him. Through him, I had to learn the other side of the story, witnessing him flinch and duck at the sound of a loud bang, since it called up the sound of gunshots, which he had heard so often, growing up in the West Bank and Palestine. When traveling to Palestine with him, I had to learn how Palestinians are treated at the border and how they are controlled at checkpoints on the roads inside the Palestinian territories by Israeli soldiers with machine guns pointed at them while their documents were being checked. I met a man, a professor at the university in Nablus, who hadn't left his town in 4 years because he couldn't take the humiliation at the checkpoints and refused to be put in the position of a defenseless inferior. I had to learn how settlers could throw stones at the farmers who were trying to save their olive trees on their land, which those same settlers had set afire, and how the unarmed farmers could not defend themselves or else would have been shot by the settlers who had guns, and how Israeli soldiers stood by watching the trees burn. I had to, like all the other people in the town, do anything that needed water, like showering, washing dishes and clothes, between 1 to 3 a.m. in the morning, because that was the time when the water was turned on for Palestinians. Meanwhile, the melons on the fields of the settlement nearby were watered during the day. I had to witness the sorrow of a family in the name of good mourning the death of their teenage son, who was shot while visiting a friend in Khalil, or Hebron, with no accusation, no lawful trial, just one shot dead on the spot. And all this happened on my first visit to Palestine in 1995, when the Oslo Peace Accord had just been agreed on. Since then, a huge wall has been built and many other rules been implemented, making the daily lives of Palestinians as difficult as possible. All these incidences just described are minor incidences, nothing like what is happening these days to residents, men, women and children in Gaza. But they are part of the ongoing daily violence carried out on Palestinians by the Israeli occupying forces and also by extremist groups, I should add. And this daily continuous humiliation and exertion of violence is not happening in self-defense, but it goes unmentioned in the German mainstream media, who time and again emphasize Israel's right to defend itself. Palestinians in Germany have no right to express their feelings. They have no right to openly mourn their losses caused by attacks, through right-wing extremist settlers, through the occupation forces, through the Israeli army. They have no right to talk about the trauma caused by the original catastrophe, the Nakba, that for Palestinians came with the foundation of Israel, because for them it spelled dispossession and expulsion, and still does, as the recent events in Sheikh Jarrah showed. In some limited use these days, the Israeli flag flies in front of town halls and political representatives voice their condemnation of Palestinian violence while they approve of Israel's violence against the people it occupies. They endorse military actions by a nuclear power against the people which, they insist, must not have arms. Watching these flags, I can only imagine how those inhabitants of Germany feel who are mourning losses on the Palestinian side. Very often these are German citizens, successful engineers or doctors, paying taxes to the state that denies them their truth and deems its own truth more valid. A truth achieved painfully over the years, the decades, by acknowledging the German actions and the guilt stemming from its fascist past, which culminated in the Holocaust. Palestinians were no actors in the Holocaust. They did not make victims of the Jewish citizens of Europe. They were made victims by colonizing forces who decided what should happen with their land, by the immigrants fleeing Europe who occupied and took over the space that used to be theirs. Yet they cannot speak of their traumas, neither those caused in the past, nor those caused today, because here their truth must be silenced for the sake of the German truth. The history it so wants to come to term with, the famous Vergangenheitsbewältigung. At present, it seems the desire to come to terms with its past has become so great that many in Germany have lost the moral compass to enlighten them on how to view facts, and what both their humanity and their real history obliges them to. Just recently, I was listening to an interview with the representative of the Christian Church in a German public radio. The topic was anti-Semitism, which the interviewee claimed to have observed in parts of the Black Lives Matter movement, namely those parts which use the variation of the slogan, Palestinian Lives Matter. This in itself was an anti-Semitic statement, the man said. How can someone who deems himself religious, a Christian, say anything like this? The Christian religion, I was taught when growing up, is about compassion. A religious, a spiritual person must apply their values to all humans and show compassion to their plight as well as to the plight one has claimed as one's own. And I really wonder, where does this dichotomy, which is present in many people's thinking in this country, not only the example referred to, come from? Where are the roots of this thinking that claims that the life of one group of people is aggressed, simply by saying that the life of another group of people matters, or in other words, has the same worth? It seems there is another spirit flowing in this thinking, and that while aspiring to overcome the faults of the past, the same ones are being committed again. And I find it painful, also and especially in light of the German history, having to explain someone else's and other people's humanity to fellow Germans. Because from German history follows an obligation and a commitment to humanity and human rights of all. It is vital to live up to this obligation in every attempt at speaking about the current situation, and certainly in every attempt at mediation. And a true coming to terms with the German past must, instead of turning Palestinians into the new other, include valuing also Palestinians, their lives, their truth, their rights as equal. Due to the special situation around events focusing on Palestine and the Palestinian point of view, the resolution taken by the German parliament 2 years ago that makes it so easy to construct fabrications that can be used for approaching these events as anti-Semitic, and the consequences coming with it, shutting down events or cancelling them beforehand. We, the ZaitWaza3tar team, walked around Berlin all last summer, or so it seems in retrospect, to find venues that would both fulfill regulations due to COVID-19 and that were independent from state support. Some Palestinian members left the team for fear of being sanctioned by the state authorities. This is very problematic for the democratic character of a country which must grant all its citizens the right to speak about who they are. Since then, most of our events had to go online over the past winter, in which one lockdown followed another and had audiences from many countries, joined few events. Not foreseeing this, we did a lot of research and work, but in the end we did find many places and people who were also unhappy with the situation and disagreed with the attempt to silence Palestinian voices, out of respect for other human beings and their plight, and also out of respect for the German history and the obligations stemming from it. Of course, this situation puts one in an uncomfortable position. For us at the Insurmountable, the mother organization of this festival around Palestinian culture and arts, it would be much easier to just do events on other parts of the Arab world that are less contested and controversial. But how would this be possible for an organization awarding a prize to personalities in the Arab world who have fought for their right to free speech, for democratic values in their respective countries? I wondered what would they think of me, who has the honor of being elected chairwoman to an Arab-German organization fostering free thought in the Arab world and understanding between cultures, religions and peoples. What would a winner of the English Prize, like the Egyptian reformer of Islam, Nasser Ahmed Al-Zaid, like the Palestinian feminist Isam Abdul Hadi, like the Egyptian writer Sanallah Ibrahim, like the Tunisian journalist Siham Ben Sedrin, like the Syrian activist Razan Zaitouni, like the Palestinian singer Bana, or a great supporter and friend of the organization like Sadiq Jalal Al-Azim. Think of me, of us, the organization whose award they had accepted if we shut up in front of obstacles that are still so much smaller than those they faced. And so we are obliged to their legacy and will continue to voice our support for the Palestinian cause, the Palestinian truth, Palestinian rights, along with those famous defenders of values of humanity and democracy. We are now very happy that Fida Antanin, a Gazan living in Berlin, has accepted our invitation to speak today.
Thanks a lot for giving me the space today here. I haven't prepared like my words because it was really a very short notice, and taking into account the events that are happening in Gaza, I really had no time, and I have to say that I barely slept the past 6 days. So when Nahid, I'm so moved. When Nahid told me there is an exhibition today, I told her, like, people ask me, how do you feel like a Gazan in Berlin? And I told her, like, I feel I'm physically here, but I'm mentally in Gaza. Because I'm thinking the whole time about what's going on there. I'm in touch with my relatives, I'm in touch with my people in Gaza and Haifa and West Bank. So it was really hard to separate that I'm right now in Berlin here. And this is, I've lived 3 wars in Gaza, 2008, 2012, and 2014. And today I feel like I have this sense of guilt. It's really hard to explain that I'm not in Gaza. Even when it's raining bombs there, I feel this sense that I should be there. That being said, when I stepped foot here and I saw all these pictures today, thinking that I'm mentally in Gaza, I went away and I felt physically in Gaza because I could relate to each one of these pictures on the wall. When I see like lemon and potato that just like drinking tea and pictures from the sea, those are the places that we go to. Those are the things that we do in Gaza. Like this is our everyday life in Gaza. Like when I saw the picture, which is like this exhibition about like a diary from Gaza, this is what we do. Even under bombs, we open our laptops sometimes, we watch movies, we play cards, we try to cheer up our like children, our young sisters and brothers. So today I felt I'm physically in Gaza, seeing all these pictures, and it's really important to show, because we said we thought, is it like not appropriate, but is it good to do this at this time? I think this is very good, and this is important, because all of these things, pictures on the walls, they are memories, they are stories, they are lives of people who are being bombed right now in Gaza. So what they are doing right now in Gaza, they are wiping all of this out. They are wiping families out. They are wiping art centers. They are wiping schools. They are wiping buildings that house journalism offices. So they are wiping all of this out. And this is important because this is Gaza. It's not always, because this level of dehumanization that people speak of when they speak about Gaza, like there is no life there, that like our children are used to, or like we don't deserve life. No, this is Gaza, the Gaza that I know, picking olives, going to the sea when there is nothing to do there, just to drink tea, going to the sea despite the fact that it's so like polluted by the Israeli state, going to see our neighbors knowing that it might be the last time we can see them. So thanks a lot for giving me the space today. As I say, this is important, having this exhibition, because people need to know this is not the there is no two sides, but this is the everyday life of people in Gaza. And seeing the faces here freaked me out, meanwhile thinking that the number of people killed in Gaza today, the death toll is around 250, and people cannot keep up with that. So I'm thinking also of the people who took those pictures, of their families, of their friends, because they are literally killing families, they are wiping families out. So I'm praying that people who we are doing the exhibition about today, about their memories, about their work, about their passion, they are safe right now. The guy who took the pictures there, he said like Ayun, the paintings are my world. I don't have a world outside of those paintings. So what happened to his room? I'm really thinking about those details because no one is paying attention to what is really happening to the people. They are more like there is violence coming from here and someone is responding. No, there is more happening in between, and the root causes of this is not as simple as the German media and other media is trying to paint. People are fighting because there is a misunderstanding or they don't like each other. Maybe they should sit together and love each other. It doesn't work this way. So I'm really happy because giving a space to showing this and talking about Gaza means that our voices are amplified as well. Because as I said, as someone from Gaza, I felt really excluded when I first came to Germany. I felt isolated, I felt alone, despite the fact that everyone's saying Berlin is a very international city. I was like, okay, it is international, but I still feel excluded. Once I stepped a foot outside of like the pure German circles, I started to get in touch with more international people. I felt I'm included. So there is something wrong. How the Palestinian cause, even among the progressive circles, I felt when they say progressive except for Palestine, I really felt it in Berlin. There is a problem. So the more we speak, the more we show pictures, the more we give space, the more we talk about the life of people in Gaza, the more people understand that it is sitting on the fence means siding with the oppressor. It doesn't work. So I see this exhibition as an art of solidarity, because solidarity is resistance, it's not just words. I see this exhibition as something that honors and as appreciation of the lives and the work of young people. Most of them are really young, 17, 16, 14, and some of them want to be influencers. And I'm thinking of them right now. What are they feeling? Do they know about the exhibition? Are they watching? Do they have electricity? Or they are afraid of logging in because they are trying to find a safe place in Gaza, despite the fact that there is no safe place in Gaza. So I'm thinking of all those details at the moment. But I'm also thinking of my relatives at the same time. I've been in touch with them the past few days, trying to check on them, and actually I lost 2 cousins, and I don't know how is this like, we can speak about this casually, like, but among 20, 50 people killed, and I felt they are all my cousins, they are all my people, and currently I'm working on documenting the name and the pictures of those who are killed, and I almost managed to flow up at least with 240 out of 250. And I wish, just like all those people who were killed, got the opportunity also to tell us more about their lives and to be with us today. Among them 60 children, and 60 children, they would have had future, they had families. I saw videos of them just a few days ago, thinking of what they are going to do when the rockets would stop falling. And I'm thinking of my cousins who told me now we have each other like 4 and 5 together, and we don't sit in separate rooms, because if we are going to die, we die together. We don't leave anyone behind to feel this, like, this pain. So I have very mixed feelings at the moment, but this exhibition, it's really, I feel it's really personal to me. I see myself, I see my niece and nephew who are right now in Canada, safe, but the place where they used to live was bombed. So I'm thinking about the scenarios that would have happened if they are in Gaza. I'm thinking about all of this at the same time. So I would thank you a lot for giving those amazing people a voice through cameras, and thank you a lot for giving them the workshop and working with them together. I'm sure it means a lot to them, and I'm sure they are looking forward to the day that they can come here in Berlin and talk about those pictures by themselves. But before I finish, it's amazing to show pictures of people, not always like, as the media shows, like rebel and destroyed houses. It is the reality in Gaza, but also we have life. We have life, as you see in all these pictures. So thanks a lot again.
I would now like to ask Nana Awad and Stefan Pulish to tell us all about their experience during the workshops, which happened over the course of several weeks in the last fall.
I don't know what to say after Fida. Well, actually, this was the main idea about doing this workshop, to give voice to the youth in Gaza. For people who doesn't know, the youth of Gaza make almost 50% of the population. We wanted to give them a tool, a voice to express themselves. How do they see Gaza with their own eyes? In contrast to what people outside Gaza see in the media, and especially in the mainstream media. It is deeply sad and unacceptable what is happening now in Gaza, and what disturbs me the most is the silence of many artists and filmmakers, like myself. Although there are some who do speak up, but there are more who are not speaking because they are afraid to lose their privileges. It seems for me, and like 2 days I was thinking, so thank you for that, for saying the opposite, how I felt 2 days ago, seeing the images coming from Gaza. It sounded for me that we've been doing this project for a while, but it sounded like it's so small in relation of the horrible reality in Gaza today. I want to talk more about the workshop, how we did it. We launched first application to participate in the workshop last year in September 2020. It was during the lockdown, so we did it mainly online. We have through our partners in Gaza, the Qattan Child Center. We got 22 applications, mostly from girls and young women. And the team in Berlin and Gaza jointly chose 9 of them for the workshop. In the application, we asked them about their hobbies, what they would like to be in the future, and if they would be asked to take one photo of Gaza, what would it be? It was not an easy choice, and we tried to have people from different spots in the Gaza Strip. The team that worked on this project, the workshop, it was Cora Justin, the chairwoman of Ibn Rushd, and also the project manager of the workshop. Sabina Kulish, independent photographer, tutor, and assistant curator for the here in Berlin, the exhibition. And I, the workshop management, and also me and Cora, the curator of the exhibition. This is in Berlin. In Gaza, we have Salman and Nawati, visual artist coordinator, Qattan Foundation, project coordinator Gaza. Amjad Al Fayoumi, independent photographer tutor, and actually Amjad, he has made an exhibition during the time when the lockdown was lifted in Gaza last November, with the help of Salman. The workshop lasted 1 week. One day we did photography theory and exercises, and the next day practice shooting of photography. Most of this we did online due to the pandemic-related lockdown in Gaza. It was not easy because electricity in Gaza is unstable. They get 4 hours of electricity per day or depend on generators. And now it's even worse. In the last few days, it's even worse. We needed to adjust ourselves along this electricity. In Gaza, they needed to charge their computers and telephone to make sure they are not disconnected. In the course of 2 weeks, the 2 teams prepared the timeline of the workshop, again dominated by the blockade of Gaza. Together, the team members planned and taught the participants about technical and aesthetics issues such as taking portraits, shadow, and lights. Stephanie will talk more about this, as well how to tell the story through a photo. The teenagers was introduced to the works of photographers, the Palestinian Karima Aboud and the US-American Vivian Meyer, as well as the work of their photographer teachers, Amjad and Stephanie. It was important for me to choose female Palestinian photographers because most participants were girls and young women, and I wanted them to feel proud. Now, I would like to invite Stephanie to share her experience with the workshop.
Thank you. I'm just gonna explain a little bit more how we created the workshop, because each participant is not a professional photographer, so we knew that before. Not everybody has a camera, and we knew that as well, so everybody had to use the tools they have, like small mobile phones or mobile phones with family members or like cameras they could use. So we were aware of that they don't have all like the same quality of materials to work with. So we try to teach or like guide them through the workshop how to find images. It doesn't matter like the quality, it's more like the feeling or the family member stories, daily life, what they see and what is important for them. So we gave them 4 tasks or exercises to work on. Like the first one was to see light and shadows. How light and shadow would show like dramatic moments or like dark moments or like light moments, or like the colors in the light and shadow will influence the images. So that was one task. The other one was like finding objects in their homes which are important to them and portray them. And it's not easy actually to portray an object and telling a story with it. So we were trying to find images with them, like for instance that teddy bear over there is one object which tells a story, and it's not easy to photograph it. So yeah. Then another example was to take portraits of family members or self-portraits. and how to do that, and how to shape emotions with different expressions. And then the last one was go out if it was impossible to go out on the street or to the beach or to other, only to the yard, to portray, like observing the surroundings and neighborhoods, and how to tell a story. So they had 4 different like directions, and from them they could choose like a story they could tell. So you can actually see the different stories. What they one is really good in portraits and self-portraits. The other one is more like observing, or the other one is more shy, like just home and seeing like kind of black and white, light and shadow moments. And that was also like good to explore them and tell stories and see their world.
Thank you, Stephanie. I wanted to ask you actually, how did you expect, like how was it with your expectation and the result, or what did you expect?
Well, in the beginning it was interesting because of the language barrier, I have to say. Then it's actually nice that you can talk through images, and it's kind of universal then as well, that you see what they see and what is reaching to me, and like vice versa. So that was nice. And I was also surprised and like really happy to see how they listen. And maybe in the beginning they're super shy, but at the end everything came together, and then it was super nice to see that it takes some time for me to adjust or to get along with each other. And so it was nice.
I remember with Raghad, for example, when she, one of the reasons we chose Raghad because she's a writer and she writes stories. And the first picture she made, I remember, was really very wide and not in focus. So it was really very different from what you see here. Like here, there is so much tense, the frames, the light. She really developed very fast, and she's really a smart girl, and she picked up. And actually, we were at the end overwhelmed about what to choose from her pictures because she had so many good photos. The last day we asked them to think about a theme photo, like the last day of the workshop, that they want to make about Gaza. By then we got to know the kids and their surroundings more, so we were able to see potential stories already and what interested them the most. After they explained their choice and were guided by the photographer trainers, Amjad and Stephanie, they had 2 days to do their photos. Some of them made too many photos, although we tried to limit them to 3 to 6, I think. I guess they got overwhelmed and excited. And some of them chose to show an event taking place at that time, like the olive harvest, but it was in October. So Ahmed and Maram, they decided to do this because it's what's happening, part of their life then. I would think most participants developed their skills. You can see it in their photos, and also they state that in the evaluation. After the youth sent their photos, the teams in Gaza and Berlin, Cora, Stephanie, Salman, and Amjad, and me, we reviewed the photos and we made a final choice. It was not easy, actually. We had to do several sessions to talk about it. Then the text was developed from the description they wrote for their photos, the text you see, the captions next to the photos. From what we knew about them also, the texts we see next to the photos are as important as the photos themselves. So please take your time to read them. I learned a lot from this workshop too. I was blessed to meet these kids and learn from them and admire them for their strength and to continue to be active and creative despite all what is happening in Gaza. The blockade, the lockdown, and now the war. And I salute them for that as they teach us life. There are many creative people in Gaza in all domains. Painters, writers, filmmakers, and photographers. I'm lucky to know a few of them. Right now, I wish them the most safety from this massive Israeli aggression. I actually send them, we have a messenger group. I send them from every other day message just to say hi, to make sure that they respond. And Amjad, I follow him on Facebook to see if he posts every day. I really hope that they are safe. I would like now to show you the participants and name them. This is actually Fahid. Fahid, the title of his work there is My World. He's an artist himself, he's a painter, and yeah. And then here is Bara. Bara is the second person, and the theme of his photos is 2014. This is referring to the photo with the teddy bear. It's in 2014 his house in the other war, so actually Bara lived already 2 wars or 3 wars so far, and he's only 17. And this bear he was able to save from the rubbles of his house in 2014. Then Summer, the title of her Summer here, the title of her photos is From Ukraine to Gaza. And then we have Dania. Dania, unfortunately, we don't have photo. That was her choice. And also Shahid, we don't have photo. So Dania made the black and white photos. If you see, they are intense, and there is a very sad story. Very sad story for that photos. And the title of her work is Forgotten as If You Never Were. It's a title of a poem for Mahmoud Darwish. And then we have Shahid. We also don't have a photo. And the title is My Brothers. Then we come here, and this is Rabit. She also chose to make this artistic, she was playing a lot with her sisters with this light, and she was doing so many photos with you see here the clown, that's her sister, Hilda. And the title is Diary Lockdown 2020. Maram, olive picking. Maram is the youngest. Actually, last year she was 12, this year she's 13. So she's really the youngest of them, but she was the quietest, I think, also from them. And then we have Ahmad. Ahmad chose to do also the olive press, and and he really captured a very nice photo with the window, and we were impressed about this photo. Then Jan. Jan, actually, she's very active on the social media, and she really wants to be an influencer. And she also really made a big jump from the first photo until this. Like, her portrait is really amazing. And then now, this is a photo from the exhibition in Gaza. You see Amjad and Salman sitting, and the participants are standing. It was in a gallery in Gaza called Abu. This is Salman. He's from the Qattan Foundation, the coordinator who helped us in this project. And this is Amjad the photographer. This photo was taken last year in the summer. You can see that, and before the war. Amjad, he has so many photos on the beach. Sunsets, sunrise, many photos. He's in love with, and also the old city of Gaza. This is recent photos of Amjad. Amjad lost his office. He was able to save this camera and one lens, unfortunately. I think the big lens he was not able to save. And yeah, this is also he took. This is not the moon, by the way. It's an explosion in Gaza. It was taken 3 days ago. This is a building. It's not his office. It's another building, but it was also bombed, and it has lots of media and press offices in this building. There's another one after that actually went to the ground, also for Jazeera and AP, I think. Yeah, this is the photos, and now Amjad actually was working on a short video for us to show today with interview from the participant, but as his office is damaged, we don't know if this video, I think it's damaged, and I don't know if we can save it. Amjad was, Instead, we will show you, instead of that video, we will show you this short video made by our Palestinian media partner, Culture Independent Platform, that was made in Gaza last year, in November, during the exhibition they made with the participants and their parents. Okay. Jan and her family. And this is Barak and Anna. And this is the rat and the sister that you see here in the photo. They chose, in Gaza different photos, and he said, because they wanted, they were very proud, and they wanted really to show more photos, and so we said, if you want to, we're fine with that. So. And this is Manon, the one Olive picking her mom. Thank you so much.
I think we have come to an end with the presenting the exhibition, Eyes of Gaza, Ayun Gaza, to you. And now what is left to say is that this exhibition will travel, and we took great care to produce the photos, pictures in a condition that makes them able to travel. And we have, first of all, they will go to Gütersloh, to our partner school, which we had during the project. There was also an exchange between the students in Gaza and some students of the school in Gütersloh. And so they will be showing this exhibition at the end of June. Then it will travel to Freiburg, and then later it will be in Berlin near Cologne. So anyone watching this from someone else and who would like to host this exhibition, please contact us at contact@ZaitWaza3tar. Thank you.